What's up, everybody? Welcome to another episode of Game School Online, where we invite professionals in the game industry to kind of walk us through their techniques and processes. And so without further delay, please welcome our special guest this week, Joel Durham. How you doing, Joel?
I'm doing great, man. Thanks for having me on. This is amazing.
Yeah, man. So Joel and I share a bit of a history, but before we go too deep into it, why don't you kind of introduce yourself to our watchers, listeners out there, where you've been, where you are, where you're heading?
Cool. Yeah, man. Absolutely. So my name is Joel Durham, and I've worked in games and commercials like VFX, game cinematics, all that sort of stuff for roughly the last 8 years now, I guess. Wow, that's a long time. It doesn't feel like that long. Just been having a good time making cool stuff, working on cool projects, meeting great people, and it's been really fun learning everything that I can along the way.
Yeah. Well, did you go through a traditional college to learn your craft?
I did, actually. I went to Full Sail way back in 2007. Basically went through that, graduated 2009. From there, just started in games and slowly moved into commercial VFX after that.
Nice. And how was your experience? Because Full Sail is it's a pretty popular school, right? A lot of game developers go through that school, actually. And I'm always curious about perspectives going through that cycle. Yeah.
Honestly, my experience there was pretty great. To me, it's really about the people that you meet, right? Mm-hmm. More so than the curriculum or any of that sort of stuff. The teachers there were really cool. I still talk to a couple of them from time to time. So just overall, really great experience. And most of the people that I graduated with, I still actually talk to, or they don't live that far away even. They're still here in LA, and we worked on multiple projects together, so it's pretty great.
Is it located in Florida? Where exactly is it located? I forgot. Or is it in LA?
It's in Florida. It's in Orlando specifically. Yeah.
Okay. Mm-hmm. And was it did you grow up around there, or did you have to move for college?
So I grew up about 2 hours south of Orlando, and from there, it wasn't that big of a move, so it worked out.
Nice. Well, I want to, again, welcome you to the show. Thank you for being here with us. And if you don't mind, kind of talk us through what you're going to show us today, and we can get into it.
All right. So I'm just pulling up here some images, but more specifically, recently I've gotten a hold of the Oculus Rift, and that's been kind of my recent obsession, is doing concept art pretty much all inside of there without really going through ZBrush or Maya or anything like that. Just see how far you can push it, how far you can take it right now. And it's really surprised me. It's really, really surprised me. Mm-hmm. You can get some really high-end, good-looking results really quickly. And you don't have to worry about all the technical issues that come along with traditional CG packages. So it's so much more like being an artist.
Mm-hmm. Did you have initial concerns or trepidation about that when you start seeing people in Unreal moving around with those hand controllers? I mean, I first sense, right, it felt kind of gimmicky. It's come on.
Right.
So
I was worried about it for a while, for sure, because the technology, it just wasn't there yet. And, the trackers and all of that sort of stuff, the setup time for that was really long for a while.
Yeah.
And but the newest one that just came out, you don't need any trackers whatsoever. You can pretty much just put on the headset right away and jump into VR. It's great.
And you're talking about the Quest, right? The Oculus Quest that just came out?
That one, but there's also the Oculus Rift S, which will allow you to connect to your computer and use your full horsepower of your insane graphics card and run almost anything you want through it.
Oh, so the
And
Rift
that
S, the Rift S doesn't have any of those like cameras set up or any of that. The newest.
No, it's all actually here.
Wow.
Let me just grab it real quick. So this is it. This is
Wow.
all there is. This is all you need.
They did not
And
do a good job advertising that, because I was under the disillusion that it was still like a similar setup but just a higher res camera. Did you have the same impression too, or was I the only
it's
one?
funny. I actually didn't know much about it, and I started looking into it, and I just read like every Reddit post I could find to see like what people were saying about it. And a lot of people were saying kind of negative things about it, just in the sense that all you get is like the resolution update, and now there's no trackers. And I guess if you already owned one, then I could see maybe that not being enough of an update to really like make you want to go out and buy one.
Mm-hmm.
But since I didn't have one previously, I got really excited because I was like, hey, here's this huge barrier to VR, which is setting up the trackers for 10 minutes every time you want to use it, recalibrating them. It's like, that's gone. It's like I had enough dealing with that at work that I didn't really want to do that at home. If I wanted to jump in and make something, I just wanted it to be quick and easy.
Right. So can you explain a little bit more about how it connects to your computer? Because it doesn't work exactly like I guess the Quest still needs to connect, right? But it's just definitely less wires than the original Oculus.
Oh, yeah. It basically, you just need to connect your HDMI and your USB, and that's it. And
wow.
You're ready to go at that
Dude, that's
point.
a huge improvement. And it's much more,
Right?
it's just a higher resolution too? Or is it a more powerful?
Yeah.
Okay.
Visually, I can remember putting on like the Oculus Dev Kit too, and you have that screen door effect, and you still kind of get that in this, but it's so much better. Like everything's so much more crisp. It's really nice.
You're convincing me, because it's being listed as what, $700 now, or?
Oh man, this is about to convince you even more. It's like $399.
Is it really? Damn.
Yeah.
So the Valve, have you tried the Valve Index by any chance? I'm just curious about that.
I haven't. I'm hoping that we get those in at work, so I can kind of check those out there before.
Because those are like $1,000, and they are old school with the wires and even more cameras.
Yes,
it's a hard buy.
It really is. It really is, and I think that's kind of like the last barrier to entry before this goes mainstream. Is like you really need it to be, as simple as turning on your PlayStation, and at that point, when that happens, everyone's gonna be all over this stuff.
One more question before we dive into what you're going to show us today. Is there any exclusive? See, this is where I feel with the Oculus right now. It's kind of being more used with outside industries. Ironically, I don't see a lot of game development like making waves right now. Like exclusive games with VR. No one's going out there to buy a VR headset. It's more like visual effects companies or like enterprise type of companies using it in different ways for consumers to interact with the world around them.
Definitely, man. Definitely. And that kind of surprised me too, because I always assumed that it was going to go to video games, but it seems like that's really tapered off for the moment. And I can kind of understand why, just because, there's just not the amount of consumer headsets that people have purchased to justify making a AAA game. It's like, it kind of makes sense. And I hope that changes at some point, but, until it does, I'll be very excited to just use it for VFX and art content creation,
And that's the perfect leeway to what we were just talking about like moments ago. How artists around the world are starting to use this in creative ways that is looking less and less gimmicky, and it's more becoming like a mainstream type of tool for artists. All right. So if you don't mind, I can share your screen.
All right.
And we can get this show started. Bam.
Let's do it. Okay, cool. I'm going to see if I can, because right now it's actually set up to go right to the Rift, but I wanted to show you guys Photoshop real quick first.
Okay.
Let's see if I can do that.
Hey, what's your feeling with Adobe buying Substance, dude?
Oh man,
Controversy.
I know, right? That is such a good question because it could go either way in my mind. You know, it's like Photoshop has been like this industry standard, this titan for so long, and you know they're really committed to making a good quality product in that regard. But on the other side, like every time that they've tried to do something in 3D in Photoshop, it's been the worst possible thing I think I've ever used.
That's true. They have like a weird way of not being able to like move the programs beyond what we fell in love with, right? It's a very at least to me, in my opinion, it's a very Autodesk type approach. They have like these leading 3D software, but I would say 5 years plus, man, I haven't seen anything in Photoshop that has really changed the game in any way.
Yeah, I totally agree with that. I mean, they added all those tiny features that people were asking for, like symmetry and like whatever other, like just really small, simple things, but there's nothing groundbreaking.
Yeah, which is sad. Which is what Substance was doing, and then, well, we'll see.
Exactly. Okay. Can you see the Photoshop on my screen here?
Yeah, this is looking cool, dude. So this is all made within which program in the VR software?
This is made with Oculus Medium, and it is a blast, and it's so fast to get in there and to make something like this. You know, I'm a dad. I have a 3-year-old kid, and I don't get much time to do personal projects. So for me, this is a huge bonus. Like I can literally come in, plug in my headset in less than 2 minutes, be in the program, and just start making something. And what you see on the screen right now is the result of like 45 minutes of tinkering around inside Oculus Medium.
You serious? Just getting the fabric alone, traditionally, getting all those folds and stuff. All right, you gotta talk me through this. How exactly did you set this up? Because hard surfacing, especially when it comes to sculpting, can get really tricky if it's not version 8 of ZBrush. You know, I mean, it took them 8 versions to get it somewhat working.
Definitely. You know, it's really cool. This workflow is kind of like a hybrid in the sense that it goes back to the old practical model making like they were doing in the original Star Wars. You know, you've got all these pieces, these little kit bash pieces, but the huge advantage of working with them in Medium and in VR is that you can place them exactly where you want them, as if you were just grabbing them out of a pile and like gluing them onto a base.
Yeah.
And it is such a like rewarding feeling as you do it that makes it fun. Like every part of the process is fun, whereas, you know, traditional 3D, you hit these walls and you go like, this part is really not fun, but I just have to get through it because I want the result. Whereas doing it like this is just a blast every step of the way. And you can make your own pieces right inside a Medium too. And then you can save those out and just keep using them and reusing them and all that sort of stuff.
Like how damn, man, you're already convincing me, because that alone is a dream come true for a 3D artist, to be able to kind of walk around your model and look at details that you wouldn't really normally see on a flat screen. I mean, that alone is a selling point. I mean, is there any other software that we use existingly right now, like ZBrush, Substance, that incorporate VR?
So, to my understanding, I think Substance Painter is the only one that's been like ported to work in VR, and I don't know where to get that yet, because the minute that I can find that, I definitely am going to grab it.
Yeah, because it would make sense, right? All that huge amount of tool set. But dude, how exactly? So I have no real understanding of Medium. I would assume they would start with a palette that is very similar to ZBrush. You have your traditional tools, but to use that in VR, like it's got to be tricky, right? How exactly does that work?
So the really great thing about Medium is how simple it makes everything. Don't get me wrong, I'm still like kind of fumbling because I'm relatively new to VR and the whole process, but I find it really easy to just kind of like grab the piece that you want, and then because you can see it, it's so intuitive. Because before you place it, you get a visual preview as you're moving it through space. It's kind of like a ghosted image of your 3D part.
Mm-hmm.
And when you pull the trigger, that's when it makes it quote unquote real.
Mm. So is it
And
like how much can you really manipulate the shapes? Like, do you start with primitives and start being able to push and pull to keep hard surfaces not looking muddy?
yeah,
Okay.
yeah, you can actually create layers and drop in different primitives and kind of mash them through each other, and then at a later time you can merge them together and smooth out whatever transitions that you want to.
Oh wow. So how long
Which
did it take?
actually,
Okay, go for it.
I can switch over to Medium and kind of show you guys just a little bit of that while we
Please
talk.
do. Yeah. So is medium? I know there's medium. Isn't there like a krill or something? I've seen some. It's like a 2D painting esque version of medium.
Yes,
Is
I
it
actually
krill? Quill?
I forget what it's called. It's something like that though. It might be Quill. Yeah, I think it is. I think it is Quill.
Okay. Have you
There we
toyed with
go.
that at all?
You know, it's funny. I have not had any time to do that yet, but
Mm.
any minute that I actually find to jump into VR, I find myself just going right to Medium.
Mm-hmm.
Just because it's so much fun and it's 3D and it's like, let me just get back to
Yeah.
that. So I'm gonna look real goofy and go ahead and put this headset on. That's the real barrier to VR, right? Is like you just
You gotta
kind
close off
of
the world. Yeah.
yeah, and it's it's gonna mess up your hair. Like I make a joke about that at work all the time, where I'm just like, okay, well, I'm gonna not care what I look like the rest of the day because here we go.
Here we go. I'm plugged in. Oh, this is awesome, dude. Yeah, man. Like it's a natural attraction to VR as a consumer, as a player, as an artist. I mean, it just makes sense. But like you said, there is a barrier that we have to overcome before to make it mainstream.
Yeah, it definitely feels like you're wearing a scuba mask on
Yeah.
your face, but
Hmm.
the ability of what you're able to do just kind of makes it worth it. All right, I'm just gonna stand up and step into the VR, and tell me if you can see everything as I'm
Yeah, I see
kind of
everything.
moving this out. You guys able to see this?
Yeah, yeah, we see it. This is
All
looking
right,
great.
cool.
So this is done
So this
without
is,
any cameras, right? It does the inside out tracking that they've been boasting about with the Quest. All the
yep,
cameras are
yeah.
within the, man. All right, I'm convinced. I gotta order one. I mean, that's the big thing. I have the original Rift, like the DK2, but like it's basically 3 boxes that I have to like
Right?
take out, take in, dude. It's such a setup. Oh wow.
I know exactly what you mean, like, because I dealt with that at work for such a long time that it kind of made me like not want one. And then I heard about their update, and I was like, okay, maybe now's the time. And I'm so happy that I
Mhm.
did.
I'm assuming like these models are you can export as a FBX and actually use it, right?
Yeah, in fact, you can even export these, I think, as STL and 3D
Oh
print them.
wow. Damn. Yeah, that's all
Yeah,
you need.
it's
Dude, I'm already loving it, dude. That's amazing. It's
so
so
now
intuitive.
that
Yeah.
right, yeah. So the thing that I was just going to point out is like I'm literally just like grabbing these triggers here to move
Mhm.
this stuff around. So it feels like I'm reaching out. I'm just grabbing this model, and you can see I can turn this model, and then with the other hand, I can place something in the scene. And as I go,
Oh wow. There you go.
I'm using both hands to kind of generate the shape that I want. So the control over it is so nice and
Dude.
natural. And it's like if you've ever done any kind of traditional
Sculpting.
sculpting, you'll feel right at home.
Hmm. So right now you have primarily a cube block. Can you change that into another tool, or is that your main tool?
So if I just hit the setting button
Oh
here, I
wow.
have all of these
Damn.
things to play with. And you can even, there's even more, right? So this is what comes with medium standard. So it's like I can just come in here and be like, well, cool, I like that detail. And I
Are
like it
you
there.
so I'm assuming since you can export FVX, you can import your own stamps primarily?
That
Basic.
is absolutely correct.
Oh, nice. Oh my god. I'm sold, dude. This is the way. Like, what is ZBrush doing? Why are they not on this? Do they even have a
Right?
VR support, or they're not even
Not
announcing
yet,
it?
not yet. They've been strangely quiet on this front. Not
Yeah,
really
right?
sure why.
Yeah.
Because to me, this is the only way I want to make things now.
Oh yeah.
Because you can just keep going all day.
Have it ever slowed down on you? Like, do you feel like there was a maximum amount of triangles? Because right now it's not dealing with really triangles, right? Is it dealing with what's that tech? That
It's called voxels, right?
yeah,
I think.
voxel, yeah. Yeah, that's why it's running well.
It's really interesting because you have control over the resolution.
Mm-hmm.
So if I bring this menu up here, I select, let's see, I gotta go find, oh, you know what? That's the one thing. I'm looking around because I gotta find my menu because I left it over here. You can absolutely forget where you left your menus.
Just like your work desk. Yeah.
So now that I've got this layer, I can kind of select it and I can go to the actions here and I can increase the resolution. You can see here, there's increase and decrease resolution. And I can just kind of keep going with this, but at a certain point, it's going to slow down. Like, see, now it's kind of just dying.
This is your highest resolution, right? So you wouldn't want to work with this until, well, there was really no reason for you to work this high.
Really, unless you're doing like skin pore sculpting, you're not going to need to go this high.
Okay.
You really
is this right? Do they have a layer system to kind of help combat this issue if you were to kind of go super high in certain sections, or?
So you can do layers, but it's interesting because the layers are more like splitting out objects. So I can make this, and now if I go and I make a new layer, now this object that I just made is a part of the new layer, but it's not allowing me to change the detail on it like it would in ZBrush, if that makes sense. So it's more a way of like separating objects than it is like up-resing and keeping track of going up and down between
like a subtool. Yeah. I'm guessing also there's some type of reference board that you can import while you're working in this.
There absolutely is, although I'm going to be 100% honest with you, I haven't messed with that at all yet, but it looks really easy. It's right here.
So there you figured it out. Wow.
You see, and that's what I love about this software. It's like I can be like just in here and figure it out. I don't have to go to YouTube like I do on ZBrush, or it's like that one obscure feature that you're really looking for. You have to Google search for like 10 minutes. But in here, it's all there for you,
Dude, that is
so fantastic. I'll just bring this in.
So can you technically, is there a HDMI Bluetooth tech? Like, can you go completely wireless if you really want to?
Actually, you can. I know it will cost you a significant amount of money to do that, but yes, you can definitely set that up. I forget the company name, but I can always look it up and send it your way later.
No worries. Dude, this is looking... Yeah, I can see why hard surface is so possible.
And look at this. This was the other thing that I just instantly fallen in love with. Yeah, it's lagging a little bit right now just because the change that I made was so big, it's having to like recalculate all the voxels. But I mean, still, like that's a really nice smooth result, you know?
Yeah, that's really nice. Yeah, dude, that looks awesome.
And it even have an elastic mode, which is pretty phenomenal.
How's its
Actually, let
Boolean
me.
tools? Are you able to like just chunk out stuff?
Yeah, it's really, really nice, actually. That's probably one of my other favorite features about this. As soon as see, I made the mistake of doing a really complicated move on something that was a little too high density. So
Yeah,
you can see it really does have its limitations, but
yeah.
you know, in
It should
terms
allow you
of
to
like
play. Yeah, it should allow you to play games while you're waiting. Oh shit! I think I lost you.
right now.
Yeah, got you back.
What I'm going to do is I'm just going to hide that so that we don't have to deal with that resolution anymore. And I'll just make a new layer here.
So how'd you go about to creating fabric with this tool?
So here, let me show you.
Show me the tricks.
All right. So this thing gets extra points for being able to do like hard surface and soft surface with really like kind of the same tool set. I forgot where I put my favorite one. Here we go. Primitives and this one. All right. So this one is absolutely one of my favorite primitives. It's kind of like a rounded, flattened, cube-ish thing, but you can get some really nice shapes with this one.
Oh, nice.
Actually, give me 1 second here because I think I need to delete some layers because it shouldn't be lagging like that. It's usually a little smoother. And the undo button is really nice. It's just like you flick like left or right with the little joystick and you're good to go.
Man.
All right,
This
here we go.
is such a game changer.
There we go. So now we're back to nice overall performance here. So like if you want to do some nice organic shapes, you can really get in here, start to kind of like switching back and forth pretty often between things. So let's just like start to make a little arm type thing.
Oh wow.
That we would put some cloth on. We'll start smoothing all this stuff out. There's a lot of settings for each tool you can go through. So I'm just gonna pump the strength on this all the way up and smooth this out.
Oh nice. Oh wow, man. ZBrush 9 better do something, dude.
I know, right?
Yeah, man. They're usually still on top of things, but yeah, the last 2 updates, it's been kind of low key.
Not much in the way of like new things, huh?
Yeah, I mean they have like this nice filter. They went Instagram a bit, but I didn't really think that was insane. But yeah, this is something that I would expect them to jump on, man. Like this is what artists has been waiting for, sculptors.
So you can see you can really just
Nice.
Get in there and start to get these natural looking shapes so easily.
Mm-hmm. Dude, I can see how you get pretty lost in this.
Oh, absolutely. I think one of the most like fun things about it is taking, like, if you've been in it for a while and you take the headset off, it takes a minute for your brain to actually realize that none of the stuff that you were working on is real.
Mm-hmm.
Like I've literally taken off the headset before and like tried to point at the model and say to my wife like, "Hey, look at what I worked on," and I realized like it's not there. It's only in a headset.
One more step towards the Matrix.
Yeah, I know. It's really getting crazy.
So how was your transition? Because obviously you still prefer to use the brush in some cases, right? How was that, man? Like feeling somewhat restricted now, not having this VR set on and being able to scope like you enjoy.
Yeah, I mean, it's such an interesting transition because I feel like a lot of people for a long time are going to use them in conjunction, you know?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Um, I almost feel like there's a world where they coexist
Mm-hmm.
for a little bit. You know,
Definitely.
and obviously, if ZBrush decides to go uh, full 3D and join VR, then like you know, it's going to be around for a long time. But that's what I'm hoping happens.
Yeah,
But
man, that'd
right
be
now,
fun.
you know, just being able to do the block in or the concept art in here, and then go to ZBrush to refine it is like
Mm.
you know, that's enough of a dream come true. Like I'm happy, you know.
Yeah, yeah. Just being able to even like get a shape going and use it as an insert mesh in here, and then bring it back to refine it. Because this is a great concepting tool. Just being able to figure things out in here is way more intuitive than having to keep spinning and right clicking and spin like zooming in to kind of
Yeah,
take a look at things.
definitely.
Yeah.
And then like the thing that really gets crazy is because you have your full wrist and you can
Mm.
twist
Yeah,
things,
dude. Yeah, that's a
like
lot of control.
you know, you can make like these really dynamic folds, you know, and twist them into itself. Like, I mean, it's just unprecedented the level of control that you have with these things,
Yeah.
you know?
And looking at like all
And
the muscles that you're working right now too.
I know, right? Like that was another thing that I was really excited about is I do not want to be chained to my desk.
Yeah.
You know, like I
Mm-hmm.
want to be able to get up and like I can actually walk around this whole thing and look at it from the other side, or I can turn it, you know, like you're so free
Mm-hmm.
that it's really refreshing.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm going to switch gears here for a second just so I can show you some of the organic stuff that I've been working on. Oh, actually, I just remembered I haven't saved that one yet. I think that spaceship is going to be fun, so I'm just going to do that real quick. And you can see that like the save doesn't really take that long either.
Oh, nice. Yeah, Voxel has
So
been
it's not like these
something.
are super
Yeah.
heavy or anything like that. They're pretty light
Mm-hmm.
files.
Mm-hmm. I mean, the advantage of Voxel was made clear like years and years ago. I mean, that's what Minecraft is all about, and it's crazy that we haven't really fully transitioned into that from polygons yet. Dude, hell yeah. Dude, I mean, I can't. Just imagining to stand next to your character must be a fun feeling.
Oh man, it's crazy because you can see in context like this thing. You know, let's say you were working on something that's supposed to be like 11 feet tall.
Mm-hmm.
You know, you can size it and you can look up at it and you can feel if that character feels right. Like
Mm-hmm.
it's really cool to be able to have the context of size
Mm-hmm.
and then just go with it.
Does it have any like aside from maybe posing, but like animation that you can preview with rigging, any of that sort that kind of helps make your character come alive? Or is it it's too
So
early, too early to do that?
I think there's another whole program that's out. Well, I don't know if it's out or not, but You can see a video of it on YouTube where essentially this guy is just placing these joints in VR in 3D space. And then when he's done, it's rigged. Like he can grab the joints and like move the arms, and it's all just dynamically figuring it out on the fly. And I was just really impressed by that.
Yeah, because I can imagine like
Imagine,
animators and riggers will have a field day with this the same way that we're enjoying the sculpting part. Like being able to
absolutely.
like pose your character and key movements and stuff. Blend shapes, of course, all that stuff must be really fun. Oh man, that's a neat tool.
Turn on the elastic here because this gets really cool what you can do with this thing. So like look at the physics in this. Yeah. That's the other cool thing. It's like just being able to like grab this and do whatever you want to it. And it's not like in ZBrush where you try to do something like this and it'll like collapse on itself. But because this is voxel, it's almost like a dynamic Dynamesh. Like your mesh is still just fine. I wouldn't try 3D printing that, but like for the most part, it's all good.
Does this program allow you to paint basic colors? Did you do all the rendering in here as well, or did you take it elsewhere?
For the rendering, I took it to Keyshot, and I just that was actually the longest thing of the whole project, was just letting that render overnight and then doing like a quick 10-15 minute post-processing inside of Photoshop. But that being said, you do have some like control over this in here as far as like setting the colors and whatever it is that you want to do there. Looks like, hold on, let me go to, there we go.
I see.
There we go. So, you can create things with whatever color you want on them, and I believe you can even go ahead and, or is it, here it is, yeah, here's the full paint. So this is like literally airbrushing.
Oh, wow. Oh, yeah, that's fun by itself right there.
And you can see like these harsh lines are where I've created the different layers so that I can work with different sections individually.
Can it use like alphas to help with this shape the brush basically when you're texturing?
That is, I think, literally the question that everyone's asking, and they haven't put it in yet, but I have a feeling that it's going to be coming pretty soon because people keep asking about it.
Yeah, man, ZBrush just needs to get on it. Yeah, the medium is a proof of concept. Like, I don't think they ever imagine it to be like a full-fledged product, right? It's more like, hey, yeah, that's pretty damn close. But like, they're hoping that someone would take up the mantle and concept and be like, ZBrush, come on, look, all right, work on it, so we can move on to sell units, right? Yeah, dude. Yeah,
totally.
Yeah, that's a great like first.
When I first grabbed this, I kind of thought that the hardware wasn't gonna be sensitive enough. It's like, I'm kind of painting here, and when I, work, it has pressure sensitivity. That's the thing that really surprised me. Is it's it's not Wacom level, but it's a lot better than I thought. Like if I just barely tap the trigger, I'm getting a really soft color. And then if I go in here and just really pull the trigger hard, you can see like now I'm just barely tapping it. And it's really nice to be able to paint like this.
Dude, this is I think it's hard to come back from that. The potential of this. Who would want to go to Wacom? I mean, Wacom better be staring at this tech and be like, "Oh my God, this is gonna destroy our whole business." Essentially,
it really is, because I don't want to go back to, like, you think about even a Cintiq. It's like we looked at that for a long time and we're like, "Oh my gosh, just being able to like paint on the pixels, but now it's like, hey, guess what? You can paint in 3D on the pixels and just keep going with it.
Yeah, this is a game changer. Yeah, there's not enough. This is where I feel Facebook is failing right now, right? They keep engineering it to a consumer market, but instead they need to just pick a niche group and really do well with them. So pick a team, like an artist group, and just really concentrate on maximizing that and sell those units, dude. Because we fill up seats. We have corporations. I mean, every program that we ask for and tools that we want and request comes from the artists, and the corporations have the money to support that. I don't think.
Definitely.
Yeah, I'm very surprised. This is my first time really seeing this in action. You know, like, why isn't this more publicized within the whole community? Why isn't Facebook hitting up Substance, ZBrush, and everybody, you know, to really penetrate this very niche artistic group here? Maya, you know, animators. Like, I can see the next evolution of just animators going in here and just posing their characters and like marquettes and take it to the next level, man. Just go in there and like moving the legs forward or back. Oh my god. I'll become an animator at that point. Like, I would want to try to do that. You know what I mean? It's so inviting.
Yeah, definitely.
Oh wow! Have you tested out the? I know Unreal has their like kind of VR, kind of gimmicky thing. Have you ever tested that out yourself?
It's on my list. I haven't done it yet, but it does look pretty darn cool. And honestly, like, we're thinking about like doing a renovation soon, and my thought was to like go ahead and just build like the room in 3D and then throw it in Unreal with the VR headset and be able to like place cabinets around and like use it for that. And I'm pretty excited to test that out. So I'll definitely let you know as soon as I know if it's gimmicky or not. But I think it's going to be really cool.
Yeah, I appreciate the effort for sure. Like, as long as they keep at it. There was definitely during the period of everybody kind of bandwagoning on Facebook buying Oculus, right? There was that period of everybody's like, we have a version of VR too. Let's check this out. That's all right. So how often do you actually switch between using the headset as a tool versus a game set? Like, do you have a fair percentage, or has it just been strictly just testing out tools?
I would say it's 90% testing out tools in here and just seeing what the workflow is, capable of. And the actual VR experiences are really cool, the ones that I have done, but it's kind of been few and far between. Kind of just the ones that have shipped with the headset initially. And they're all really fun, but they're also not something that
it's not too deep
would make you want to go out and buy a headset, you know.
So the landscape past year and the year forward, you're not really seeing any like killer titles out there that you're waiting for?
So far, no. But that could change. You know, I think the biggest thing that I'm excited about is location-based experiences. Those are phenomenal. Like just going to the, I think it's called the Void. We had to go there for like research purposes, and I was like, okay, cool, let's check this out. But the thing that floored me was everything in the room matched up to what you saw in VR. So like if there was a wall in virtual reality, you could put your hand out and you would actually touch like a fake wall. You know, in real life, it was just all matched up. So like there was an extra sense of presence from that. And like they had a maze set up, and it was like a horror thing where like monsters would jump out at you, and you were wearing like a headset as well as like a backpack. So like they would vibrate the chest plate whenever the monster was like attacking you, and just a bunch of really interesting ideas that like you had never seen done before. And it's just such a cool experience to go through, because you can literally see the people that you're going through with. There's like 4 of you at a time, and you can talk to all of them through the headset, and it's just such a cool thing. And I did it, and I found myself thinking like, well, who would actually want to go to a movie theater anymore when you can like actually talk to your friends as you're going through this experience, and you're not ruining the experience at all. You're actually adding to it by increasing the interaction.
Yeah, I think that I think location-based VR is gonna really help get this into a mass market. And I think when it comes to just game entertainment, that's the way we should keep going with. Because I'm starting to see a lot of those around Orange County, right? Around Spectrum, there's actually a VR location-based type of thing. Same thing as what you're describing. That it's like a maze. But what's cool about it is with VR, you can all these sceneries would be on wheels where they can kind of change the course.
And that's crazy.
Yeah, and relatively just have like this level blueprint that they can just change the scenery, right? From a horror to a Christmas theme or whatever. But how great is that for a business to maximize the same space? Because I'm not like a hardcore paintballer, right? But I've been doing that for a little while. I went airsofting when I was younger and everything. I like the idea, but it gets messy, dude. Maybe some people like that, but I feel like VR location-based services can really supplement and even potentially replace that type of activity.
Definitely, man. Definitely.
Because even the last, oh dude, it'd be super fun. I mean, they were demoing that with the Quest at the last GDC, where they had like not just 4 people; it was like a 5-on-5 combat game. I mean, it was not anywhere near like high quality graphic fidelity, but the gameplay was there where it was forgivable. Because it was such a fun experience. Oh man.
Yeah, and I noticed that people are much more willing to forgive the visuals of it for the bump up in, I guess, presence. I don't know what you really call it. Like, I don't want to use buzzwords, but it really is like you're there. Mm-hmm. Even if that world isn't quote unquote like a real world, it still feels like you're in some imaginary world.
Yeah, it feels more tangible, right?
Definitely.
Oh man, that's exciting stuff. Yeah, you convinced me. This became like a whole episode about the Rift. But that's why, again, it kind of paints the failure. Like we're closer than the general mass into being interested in these devices, but we really have to go out of our own way to find out more about it, right? It's not being communicative to us about what these, like, I had no idea up till today, like literally what you just told me, that the Rift S got rid of all the wires. I thought it was just the Quest being their highest tier, right? But that's insane. Like, I had no idea the Rift S went that far. So the only difference between the two is just that the Quest is truly wireless, right? It has no connectivity necessary.
Correct. I think it's got an onboard processor for visuals and stuff, so it can't. I don't think you can actually use the program that I'm in right now on the Quest, because I think this takes too much resources to actually run it.
Yeah, it's basically a PS 3.5 hardware or something, right?
Yes.
Something like that.
And I think there is another program that's kind of similar to this. Like, you can get Gravity Sketch, I think it's called. And that one should work on the Quest. But if you want to use like the whole voxel based sculpting thing, then this is where it's at. It's the Rift S, baby.
Dude, this looks, just watching you do this looks a lot of fun, dude. This is exactly what they needed to be doing to kind of sell these sets. Because artists will immediately go out and buy these as soon as they know that this is possible. But nobody knows, dude. Nobody knows.
Yeah, I mean, I hope it becomes widespread pretty soon, just because, you know, I really hope that they keep making tools like this and keep improving, you know, this over anything else, because this is really like what artists need, even if you don't know you need it. Like I didn't know I needed this, and then I got in here, and I'm like, yep,
I can't work without this.
What I'm waiting my whole life for.
What I've haven't seen yet, and weirdly feeling like these guys are kind of missing a great opportunity, is that this can be a very fun collaborative process. So imagine another VR person connecting with you right now and being able to sculpt and iterate with you, or scope off.
You know, I actually haven't done it yet, but I've been told that there's a studio share option somewhere in this program where you can do exactly that.
Oh man.
And as soon as like somebody else that I know gets one of these headsets, that's probably the first thing I'm gonna do.
Bro, let's connect.
Let's do it, man.
It'll turn into a Black Mirror episode, though. Have you seen the latest one? The Street Fighter one?
My goodness. I'm gonna have to go check it out.
I'll save a laugh, right? Watch the latest season of Black Mirror. Watch the first one. It's like the Street Fighter episode. And you'll laugh at my reference. So I'll save it. It's like, oh, that motherfucker. He slipped one in. All right. Well, we're about an hour in, Joel, and I know it's super late, but dude, you got me convinced, man. I'm seriously probably most likely gonna buy this just for this alone, because
it's so great. And like,
because what you're building right now alone, it would usually take so much time just to organize within ZBrush. And
definitely.
like,
and
yeah,
you'd still have to retopo it if you were in ZBrush. So to me, this is like, you know, you gain so much speed on building it that you actually have the time to retopo this correctly.
Yeah, retopo is like the most necessary step, but also the laziest for most artists.
Yes.
Because by that time you're like, fuck it. Get it in the game.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say. Jumping onto like your comment about like opportunities for collaboration, like just imagine, dude, like in terms of workspace, like you could give notes, you know, just like this, you know, like here, you know, make that bigger. Yeah.
And you can write back, fuck you.
Yeah, but it's just like.
But this is how we think. This is how we think. Like at the beginning of my 3D career, right, when I was learning 3D, like I had to. It wasn't until I felt like I broke that barrier of a flat screen and thinking along the lines as if I am spinning it around in front of me, right? That's when I finally got it going. But this is like taking the imagination part out of anybody who wants to create 3D, and I think that's very exciting. Have you given this tool to your wife? See her kind of running around with it to see if she can.
It's funny. I couldn't get her out of Angry Birds.
It's like, nope, hey, come on.
I have to admit, it's really fun. Angry Birds is actually really fun in here. It's kind of addictive.
Yeah, I mean, everything in VR, every demo, every game I've tried with VR, even though if it's like a technical, well, most of them are technical demos, I totally get it. Like, you're in there and you are just wondering why this isn't bigger than it is, right? And it isn't until you start breaking down the 15 wire cameras and everything where you're like, oh, okay, I see why. Because I have the latest the last Oculus set just sitting in a box because I just don't want to set it up and put it away, because you can't leave it just hanging around in a room. Like, there's so many mistakes that you can trip up on.
Definitely. Yeah, and I still keep mine in the box. That's how easy it is to set this up. I just pull it right out of the box and I plug in my 2 cords, and that is it.
Mm-hmm.
I'm ready to go.
All right, yeah. I'm gonna buy it, man. I am gonna buy it. It's for research. You can write it off.
Yeah. Exactly.
All right,
it's almost a necessity, right?
Well, to me, it's a necessity. So at this point, we're about at the hour mark. This is where I thank you for your time, but also I want to do you right and give you the opportunity to promote pretty much anything that you want to promote: a website, an art station, a Twitter account, shout outs to friends. This is your time to kind of like give attention to. Go for it, man.
Cool, man. Yeah, well, that sounds great. Let me take off the headset here. All right. Yeah. Definitely. Thanks again for having me on. It's been such a blast, a lot of fun, just to kind of catch up and show off like this new tech and just get excited about it. You can definitely check out my art station. It's just search Joel Durham, yeah, that's about it, really. I mean,
perfect. Well, I'm gonna make sure that all the links available will be with the show notes for everybody that's interested. Go over there and give him a like and follow him, Jill. I've always been watching you, man. Super motivated, super interesting. You're always working, and being a family man myself, I know how limited our time is, and so I'm just super excited to see like experimenting still. Like, I look ahead at your efforts to see like what should I try next. Most of the time it's like, what should I do? But it's the tinkerers, man. It's always the tinkerers that are like showing us the way, because yeah, it's something I've been wondering about, but it wasn't literally till tonight when I saw this demo. I was like, oh my God, this has been missing from my life, and I didn't even know about it. Which is crazy. Which is like, oh my, Facebook is really failing at the marketing right now. Like, why isn't ZBrush doing this? But yeah, the price has gone down. I thought it was $700 for a long time, but it's not. What's going on? Let's get this going. So, is everyone pretty much at your studio working like some type of workflow like this, or is it all still like personal preference still?
It's all still personal preference at this point. I think really the only people who are in the headset every day are the people that are working on the experience side. If you're making assets at work, I haven't found a company that's really bought into this yet, unless they're making VR content and that's all they do. Because most of the time, like, you'll have a lot of reusable assets that are already in the Maya system, and they won't really want to like take the time to set up all of the importing tools and things that you'll need to get Oculus stuff back into the pipeline. But I feel like it's going to happen. It's just a matter of time.
It's always those lazy TDs, dude. It's like, get on it, man. But yeah, I think it is a matter of time. I mean, it just takes more artists to do it at home, to kind of bring it to the office and say, this is how I work. This is why you hired me, and this is why everybody should be on this. It's like any software, right? Every time Substance, Quixel with their Mega Scans, and all these other programs that is innovating the like Blender. Blender is becoming the thing now. Who would have thought?
Oh, yeah.
I was making fun of Blender 7 years ago. Spitting.
I think it wasn't everybody. My goodness, that thing came out of nowhere.
Yeah, spitting at students, saying like, "What? You gotta spend some dollars, son, if you want to be standardized." But now, like, Epic's giving $1 million to them, and everybody's kind of like using it, and it looks fantastic. Have you tried Blender at all lately? I wouldn't be surprised that Blender would be the first 3D program that actually incorporates VR, man. It's open source. Someone's going to get on it like within seconds.
I think you're probably right. I think if it hasn't already, it probably will soon. So now you have me curious. I'm going to have to go look that up now.
Dude, the latest update 2.8 specifically like completely changed the game in every way. Like their in-game editor, I mean their rendering real-time editor is I think one of the best ones out of all the 3D software. That isn't, of course, a game engine. That is pretty powerful shit from free software.
That's crazy.
Yeah, and there's like a whole Netflix movie that was made within Blender that's out.
No way.
Yeah, check it out, man. It's called like Next Gen or something. But you can watch the trailer and it's picture quality and everything. It's like, fuck. Now I'm the one who's like behind. I was like, I guess I gotta learn Blender because that trend is happening very strongly.
This is an episode of Black Mirror.
Yeah, pretty much, right? Now I gotta swallow my pride and eat what everyone is eating. So I want to thank you for such a late night. But this is very educational. This is what we do the show for. I want to thank you, Joel, and welcome you anytime you want to show us new shit. So if you get a chance to play with that VR in Unreal, man, I want to see that. I haven't really talked to too many people that played around with that, but again, it's because not a lot of people have VR headsets, and so show us the way, bro.
All right, man. I look forward to giving you an update.
Okay, sweet. And be sure to watch that Black Mirror episode.
Definitely.
You're gonna laugh. But that's pretty much it. Thank you everybody for joining us this week. We're live every Thursday at 11 a.m. And at any point, reach out. And if you have questions for Joel, go ahead and forward it to us, and we'll be sure to ask him.